On the hunt for comfortable, timeless Western boots? You already know the best place to shop for quality boots is at your local Tacova store. So stop by Tacova's Nashville, at the Mall at Green Hills, or on Broadway by Ryman Auditorium. That's right, you now have 2 locations to choose from. Grab a cold one as you shop and get fitted by a pro. Tacova's Nashville is at your service, and you can find your perfectly fitted dream boots with the help of their expert staff. Everyone will be asking where you got your sick new boots, but I won't be asking because I know they must be Tacovas. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all. Today on CityCast Nashville, I'm here with Valere Shabila, host of Pharmaceutical Soccer, to give you a guide to Nashville Soccer Club. I'm going to be totally honest. My goal with this episode is for me to be able to fit in at an NSC game without knowing anything about soccer. Animal control be damned, you need to know the story behind our mascot, Tempo the Coyote, and we want to give you some snack recommendations in the stadium and tell you how to find your perfect supporters group to tailgate with. CityCast Nashville is presented by our exclusive launch sponsor, Tacovas. It's August 22nd, I'm Grace Fuse, and this is what Nashville's talking about. I want to start off by giving everyone a dummy's guide to Nashville Soccer Club. I don't think people know this. I actually worked in sports media for the past 3 years, but I did not cover soccer. So as somebody who cannot run for longer than a city block, I did not play soccer as a child. So I just want to start with the basics of how NSC is doing. I hear we're not doing very well. Why should we still go to games?
Yeah, they aren't doing too hot. 7 losses in a row right now. This is probably the worst sale ever. But there are still some things that really are unique to soccer, especially unique to soccer in Nashville. One of the biggest reasons for me that I like to go to soccer games is the diversity of the fan base. I like going to Titans games. I like going to Preds games. But when you walk into Geodis Park, you really see a different type of Nashville. I went to John Overton High School here in Nashville, and Overton is like very multicultural, right, in all sorts of ways. And I equate Nashville SC fan base a lot of times to that. It's like you hear different languages, you see different people, and even it's not just like race or culture or whatever, but sometimes even like different classes or whatever it may be. So yeah. I think that the average soccer fan in America is different than your average NFL fan or NHL fan.
Why do you think that is for soccer specifically?
It's a world game, right? It's the world's game. Yeah. People from all around the world love this game. And it also provides an opportunity for folks to maybe, folks who don't agree or see each other often to kind of have a common goal and to hug when that goal is scored or cheer when a good pass happens or whatever it may be. I think that's the magic of the game, and that's why it's the most popular sport in the world. I think it's just one of those things where it is more than a game and it is more than just a sport. And I think it means a lot to people.
Have you noticed the fan base or like the general soccer community growing or changing in Nashville specifically now that we have NSC?
Yeah, 100%. I think when you look at Nashville SC as it is, as a professional organization, it came to Nashville in 2018 as a USL club, which is second division soccer. And then in 2020, they moved on to MLS, and that's the first division, the highest level of soccer in America. But even from the USL season to season, you could see a little bit of understanding, or more so of an understanding. I think one of the ways I talk about it often and to how I see these things happening is how fans react when they are in the stadium to things happening in the game. So, early on in America, when soccer was still kind of starting a little bit, early 90s or mid 90s, people would cheer if they see like a ball go really high up, or something like that. But that's not generally
like the X Games and not like soccer.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like the unfamiliarity with soccer, to where now it's a little different. And one of the things I often talk about is like when people see a passing sequence at Geodis Park, you see some claps. It's not like all out cheering all the time, but you see some claps here and there. And the other thing is that because it's brand new, the supporters of Nashville SC are having a hand in creating this culture, creating this culture around Nashville SC and what the support to Nashville SC actually means.
I love you bringing that up about a good passing sequence, because I think one thing that holds me back from wanting to go to a soccer game is I don't want to look like a dummy and cheer for the wrong thing or say the wrong thing or whatever. When is it appropriate for me to cheer?
I think first and foremost, if you're unfamiliar with when to cheer, just cheer when people around you cheer. That's my first. That was me.
Yeah.
When I moved to America, I didn't know much about American football, and I ended up going to a high school football game, and I had no idea what was going on. It was like, so I just started watching around me. It was like, I think this is good. I think this is good. And then sometimes I think something would be good and it's bad. So I totally understand. But I think the best thing, the biggest sort of cheers come from obviously goals, but that's too obvious.
Yeah.
Another thing would be like when a ball goes out for a corner kick, which is behind the goal, right? When it touches the opponent and it goes out behind their goal, that would be a big one. And then corner kicks themselves. Nashville SC has this tradition of fans doing NSC clap, clap, clap every corner. And that would be something you can get into really easily. It's 3 letters and a little clapping.
So we're not doing really well, but is there hope for us? I hear we have a new coach. How do we feel about that? How could we get better? I guess is the main question.
Yeah, there are multiple ways. I mean, they're changing the approach completely mid-season. So with changes like that happen mid-season, you worked in the sport. I mean, it's like if any team in any sport, they change their coach mid-season, things aren't going great, right? I mean, that's generally the rule. So things can get better. So let me kind of track back a little bit. So earlier this season, they fired their first and only ever coach, Gary Smith, brought in an interim coach for about 13 games, which is a lot of games in soccer. And then finally made the BJ Callahan hire. Now, BJ Callahan, the new coach, is an assistant with the USMNT, U.S. men's national team. He's been an assistant for about 5 years with them. Before that, he was an assistant with Philadelphia Union. Now, it's a pretty ambitious hire because it's kind of taken a risk on a guy who's never been a head coach really before. However, at the same time, his record speaks for itself. And if Nashville wouldn't hire him, someone else in MLS would have hired him. So he's a really well thought of coach, even though he's never had that coaching experience at a club level. At the same time, they are changing a little bit of what Nashville SC actually means. They keep calling it Nashville 2.0. And I think with the new coach, it's going to take a minute, is what I should say. Yeah.
Are there any players specifically that we should know by name so that we don't sound silly when we're talking about it?
Yeah, I think the first and most known player from Nashville SC perspective is Hani Mukhtar. He has been with Nashville SC since their first year in MLS in 2020. He has been one of the best MLS players since joining Nashville SC. He's won MVP of the MLS in 2022. He won the Golden Boot, which is most goals scored in an MLS season in 2022 as well. He's the first MVP that this city has had in its respective league since, I think, when McNair won it for the Titans. So he has unfortunately taken a dip in form since the end of last season into this season. And the other thing is that he's been carrying this team for so long that it's hard to do it by himself. I think he needs a little bit of help. So he's definitely that superstar, that face of the franchise type of player. And then alongside him, and even surpassing him at certain level, is Walker Zimmerman, who is a defender with the U.S. men's national team, captained the U.S. men's national team at a certain point, and had just finished playing with the Olympic team in Paris for the U.S. Yeah.
Can you tell us why our mascot is a coyote?
Yeah, so the initial idea, I guess, came from they found a coyote just kind of chilling at the sink of the Music City Center in downtown.
What?
This was, I don't know, 5 years ago, I guess now. And I guess Nashville, we didn't have a mascot. There was no mascot assigned. And they just kind of decided to start Tempo the Coyote. He's kind of ripped. So I don't know. It's like a weird, like he's always like muscular, and he has, they always do these like funny little clips before every game. So even if you don't want to go for the soccer, you can go for the Coyote, and just see what he's about to do.
Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of people go to sports games because of the environment, not necessarily to watch the actual sport. I want to know how we can get the most out of the game if we're not super invested in soccer. And where I want to start with that is food. Is there a classic soccer snack? I associate hot dogs with baseball, but I don't know what the soccer equivalent is.
I don't know if there was like one specific soccer snack. What I would say is that Geodis Park did a really good job of getting local restaurants into the stadium. So
Yeah.
Tempo Tacos is in the stadium, which is a big recommendation for Princess Hot Chicken is in the stadium. Again, another Daddy's Dogs is in the stadium. There's a lot more. There's an empanada place. I can't remember it right now, but it's an empanada truck in Nashville, but they also have it in the stadium. Best empanada in Nashville. So if you are talking about in the stadium, there's a good amount of food that is local to Nashville, that is by Nashville people, I should say.
Yeah. That seems like a lot more variation than I normally see in a stadium and a lot more local options. That's pretty cool. And with that, do you have any other hot tips for how to get the most out of a game?
Yeah, I think one of the best things for that kind of separates soccer is the tailgate experience is not like any other tailgate experience, really. So there are these supporters groups for Nashville SC. They're organized groups. A lot of them are nonprofits. And what they do is they set up this amazing tailgate with food, drinks, and a lot of times, a lot of those things are based on donations. So they're not selling you drinks. You can donate to a nonprofit or something like that and get your drinks. And Lot 5. So they start maybe 3 hours before the game. So I'd recommend going to the supporters tailgate, check them out. They're out there having fun, with all the music and the food. And there's multiple supporters groups, so you can walk around and, La Brigada de Oro are the Hispanic supporters group. The Roadies are the original supporters group from way back when. They all have their own vision, mission, and I think you can probably find your people there. And then once the game starts or right before the game, you walk with the supporters into the stadium. If you are into a big party and you love enjoying, you love getting into it, I would highly recommend being in the supporters section. Tickets are cheaper. It is standing room only, so there are no seats. Everybody's standing, everybody's cheering, clapping, singing, having a good time, drinking, all that stuff.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about you and the soccer community in Nashville as a whole. I'm here with Valère Chavillo, the host of the podcast Pharmaceutical Soccer. Can you tell us a little bit about how soccer helped you connect to the Nashville community when you first moved here?
Yeah, so I moved here as a refugee in 2009 to Nashville specifically, and I've been living here ever since. And I think one of the things that coming into a new country, like everybody talks about the language, right? It's like, oh, did you learn English and all that? And yes, I had to learn a lot of English, obviously, but I think a lot of the other stuff is more, it's harder to learn really when it comes to understanding the culture, pop media references, stuff like that. And I think soccer was one of those things where it helped me connect. I would go and play soccer every day when I moved here. I was 14 years old. And it was in this apartment complex where they had a tennis court. In the tennis court, we took down the little tennis net and we just started playing soccer there. And it would be me, my friends who are also from Iraq. I think I neglected to mention that I'm from Iraq. And then my friends who are also from Iraq, they speak Arabic, right? We all speak Arabic. And then there will come like a larger Hispanic community as well. So they'll be speaking Spanish. So they're speaking Spanish, we're speaking Arabic. Nobody speaks English, but we're still playing soccer all together. And we did that for 3 years straight to the point where the apartment complex took the whole tennis thing and just put soccer goals in there. And we would still play, almost every day. And that was the only sort of recreational thing that I was doing in America at that time, because, coming in as a refugee, we couldn't really afford a whole lot of things. And then ever since that moment, I have used soccer to connect to a larger community in Nashville. I found a lot of the people I call friends right now through going to Nashville SC games really early on in the USL before I covered them in a more professional manner. I found a community there, a community that has helped me feel like Nashville is home for me.
Do you still go and play soccer now?
Yes, I play pretty terribly. I've never been good at playing, even since I was a kid. You said you kind of get hurt running. I get hurt walking, so it's a little difficult. I usually play some rec leagues here, but I've taken a little bit of a break, but I'm trying to get back into it. But generally, I am playing at least pickup every now and again.
Yeah, I have a couple friends who play pickup soccer like at Centennial. Do you have any recommendations for like places people could go play pickup?
There's a Facebook group. If you don't have Facebook, that's fine. It's not the best place on earth, but the Facebook group that is a BNA Pickup, that's what it's called. I would highly recommend that because they always have games going on, and you can go and see where people are playing different pickup games going on all around the city.
We mentioned some supporters groups earlier. How could people find supporters groups?
Yeah, so all the supporters groups are under one umbrella called The Backline. You can find them on social media, The Backline Supporters Collective. That's the full name. Cool. They have a website out there. And you can find so much information on all the supporters out there. And by the way, there's no I'm part of this supporters group, so I can't be part of this supporters group. I'm part of like 4 of them, because I like to support and I like to, and also you get really cool scarf every time you sign up every year. So I collect scarves. So I love getting scarves. So that's why I keep signing up.
Love it. Okay, cool. So that's one way we can get connected. There's also this thing called Kicking It 615. Can you tell me about that and your involvement?
Kicking It 615 is a local nonprofit organization that helps kids who can't afford to play soccer free of charge. And if you didn't know, soccer costs so much money in America. It is really expensive, and it costs thousands of dollars to play any real competitive soccer for any kid. What we try to do with Kicking It 615 is make sure that hurdle is passed. The money hurdle is they can go over that. And what we provide kids is organized soccer for free. And we play in Mid-State Youth League. We sign up teams that way. So kids will come practice with us, and then game time we go play against actual other teams. It's really a full soccer experience. There's a referee. They're learning. The main thing, this is not about soccer. We're not a club. We're not trying to find the next Messi or Hani Mukhtar or whatever. What we're trying to do is give kids an opportunity to play organized sports for free, which doesn't exist in Nashville other than us, pretty much. Our whole goal is to introduce soccer to these kids who are incredible, who are going through some maybe rougher situations, and maybe soccer would be that one outlet where they can come to practice with us for an hour and then go to the game for an hour. That's only 2 hours a week, right? We're not changing their lives, but what we're offering them is something to maybe look forward to in a life where it's sometimes hard to look forward to something. And we've seen so many of these kids come back every season with us. And, a testament to their parents as well, because a lot of these parents are working 2 jobs or can't afford any other thing. So that's why they come to us, and we are able to help them out. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. Like I said, we have an incredible team of volunteers, and we're looking to add more volunteers. So please, if anybody's out there listening, it doesn't mean you have to coach. If you want to coach, we have spots for that. But even if you're good at graphic design, or you like, you're a lawyer, I don't know, whatever it is, like, we can always use volunteers. Yes.
Yeah, I love that idea about having something to look forward to. I think that's a really important thing at any stage of life, honestly. But that plus having some consistent community is a really important thing. And finally, you've got a soccer podcast we've mentioned a couple times. How did you get started in podcasting?
I started a podcast with a couple of friends of mine 6 years ago. And the podcast is called Pharmaceutical Soccer, which is a dumb name. We're very aware of that. But the whole idea of that podcast is to give folks a Nashville SC coverage that was different than what was out there. And at the time, it was USL. It wasn't even MLS. So any NSC coverage was like, wow, there's NSC coverage. That's crazy. I went to school for public relations, so I was a little familiar with the School of Journalism and all that stuff. So then I started kind of doing more stuff on Twitter and on social media, where I would do Film Fridays, which were like technical breakdowns of Nashville SC. Every now and again, I would do like post-game reactions and stuff like that were kind of more video focused, more audio focused. And then last year, decided to join with Broadway Sports Media, which is a local digital platform that covers the Titans and Nashville SC. I write for them. I do some videos for them, as well as obviously my podcast still going. It's hard in soccer because it's very hard to make a living out of this. So most of us are doing it as, a side hustle or a part-time job or something along those lines. But it's definitely a passion project more than anything.
So if people want to hear your Nashville SC podcast, if they want to learn more about the team as the season rolls on, where can they listen to it?
It's everywhere you get your podcast, at Pharma Soccer on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, if you're really into that too. But for me personally, I can If you go to my page, you can see probably all of these things that I do. So at Valer Shabila, if you don't know how to spell it, just look in the notes of this podcast. It's hard to spell, so I get it. You'll see a bald guy with a beard. That's me.
Okay, well, we'll be checking in more during the season to update everybody on how we're doing. Hopefully we'll be doing better. Thank you so much for your time. It was great to get this little guide to NSC. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And by the way, I've been listening the last couple of weeks. You guys are killing it with all the podcasts. I really like the Robert's Western World one. So, thanks for what you do.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. If you want to donate or get involved in Kicking It 615, visit ki615.org. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. And hey, by the way, maybe we should go to a game together sometime. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news around the city. Bye!